This is the Undefeated podcast with your host, Keenan Tully. This is the place where we show that hearing loss is not going to be a barrier in your life. You can still chase all of your dreams no matter what. It hasn't stopped me. Don't let it stop you. Let's go. Hey guys, it's Keenan Tully here, founder of the unDEAFeated podcast and hard of hearing race car driver. Welcome back for another episode. Today's guest is someone who I've been really looking forward to speaking to, and someone who I actually met around about this time last year. Her name is Ashley Walker, and she is a deaf entrepreneur, advocate, and her story is one that's filled with both lots of negatives as well as lots of positives. And I'm really excited to speak to her to see how she was able to overcome her challenges and to get to where she is today. Extremely successful, and I'm just super excited to speak to her about that, and hopefully it will motivate you guys to go and chase your dreams as well. Let's get to it. So hey Ashley, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you today, Keenan?
Very good. It's been about a year since we last spoke to each other, I think.
Yes. Well, it's been a little over a year now, huh?
Yeah. I remember we were filming down in Charlotte.
Yes.
Which was awesome. That was a fun day. Yeah. So just give the audience a bit of an overview about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
So, a little bit about me. Wow. If you haven't remembered, my name is Ashley Walker, actually, and I'm a pharmacist, but I also have my own business called MedMax Consulting, and what I do as a business owner is I help other businesses, especially healthcare professionals, doctors' office, nurses, anybody really, become more accessible for individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing, because so much of our society has the misconception that everybody is the same. So to use the same tool or resource for everybody, but that's not true. But how I got involved in this is I'm actually deaf myself. Lost my hearing at the age of 4. We don't have a clue why. Nobody in the family has hearing loss. Like, I literally went to bed hearing, woke up, couldn't hear. I wasn't sick, no fever, nothing. So nobody knows why or what happened. But my parents, instead of them freaking out and giving up, they just made up in their minds that, okay, we're going to continue to treat her just like we've been treating her all this time. I have 2 brothers. One of them, we're twins. He's hearing. So whatever my brothers wanted to do, if I wanted to do it, my parents said, okay, let's just figure out how to make it possible for you. So my parents never told me no. And with that mentality, it gave me the push to go for anything. If I wanted to try something, I did it. I just had to figure out how to make it work for me.
Yeah.
And I developed a love of science in middle school. So by the time I made it to high school, I had an opportunity to go to different medical fields to see which field I would like. Blood is definitely not for me. So I thought about, I like chemistry, I like puzzles. So I had an opportunity to shadow a pharmacist. And I absolutely fell in love with it, because you have to figure out, okay, yes, we can treat this condition with this particular medication, but this particular medication may not work best for you, because you're looking at the individual as a whole to figure out what's the best course of medication for you. But I was scared. I was scared out of my mind to even go into pharmacy because how many deaf pharmacists or hard of hearing pharmacists should you see?
Right. Yeah.
And I didn't have anybody to look up to guide me through the process. So I did that pretty much on my own. It was not easy, but I'm happy that I did it. So working as a pharmacist now, I can see where the problems happen. What I get to hear from my colleagues, whether it's doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, you see, okay, what's the problem? And what I'm seeing is there's a lack of awareness. There's a lack of understanding of the different types of resources that are available, how to get a hold of those resources, and how to use those resources appropriately. But on the patient side, I get it too, because I'm deaf. Imagine going into a hospital and you say, okay, my preferred method of communication is American Sign Language, but they can't provide it for you. So are you really getting informed consent? Not really, right? So that's what I do as a business owner. I provide background information on, okay, these are the different avenues that you can use to communicate with those who require American Sign Language or who prefer American Sign Language. The beauty of sign language is it doesn't just apply to the deaf and hard of hearing community, right?
Right.
What if you have autism? What if you're just simply nonverbal? You can use American Sign Language too, right?
Yeah. Wow, that's really, really powerful. And that's absolutely crazy to me that no one has been able to work out why you went deaf that one night. That just seems really, really crazy. Does anyone have any type of idea as to why you went deaf that night, or is it just completely unknown? Like no one knows.
Hello, you talking about in terms of my hearing loss?
Yeah. So when you went deaf,
I've been tested. I've done genetic testing.
Yep.
Everything came back normal. I remember asking my mom, okay, did I have a fever? No fever, nothing. So it's even today when I go see an audiologist or new audiologist, they always say, oh, you were born deaf. No, I was not born deaf. I literally lost my hearing at the age of 4. I remember a little bit, just very little of being hearing in the beginning, but I don't remember much of it.
Right.
I do know that over the years, as I've gotten older, hearing aids have not been able to help me as much as they did when I first got them. Because I used to be able to talk on the telephone with my hearing aid, no problem. I cannot do that anymore. I gotta have captions. I gotta see your face.
Yep.
So when they came out with the iPhone, that was a lifesaver.
Yeah.
And my family, they are huge Android fans. But they made the switch to iPhones just so they can talk to me on the phone.
Yeah. Wow, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. So, I remember when I met you during the shoot last year, and you were telling me a little bit about your story, about how you lost your hearing. And I think the one thing that really stood out to me the most is when you said that you were punished for wearing your hearing aid. Like, that was very mind-boggling for me because I'm like, hearing aids were created to help you hear, so why would you take that away?
Yep.
But looking back, for you, if you saw that teacher again, do you think they would have a better understanding today of how their decision affected you?
It's really tough to say because I'm not sure if since that happened that more people have become aware of it. I still think it's a big uphill battle to spread awareness and educate about hearing loss. I think it's still something that we still have a big task on our hands to do that. And so I hope that they would have a better understanding. Yeah. And the one thing for me is that I'm worried that that same thing happens or has happened to other kids around the world. You know, it's and that's why I started this to try and spread awareness about hearing loss and educate people and show people that it's not a bad thing. I think you actually said something that I really love. You said hearing loss shouldn't be seen as a disability, but rather a unique ability. And that's exactly what it is, because you have shown, even with a hearing loss and being deaf, that you can still go and chase your dreams and do all of these amazing things, right?
I never had anyone tell me that I couldn't wear my hearing aids per se, but I did have a teacher who told me that because I was deaf, that I would never amount to anything, and that the only thing that I would be good for was laying flat on my back popping out babies. Yes. So,
Whoa.
yeah, that hurt to hear that from a teacher, and I was upset about it. But I used that frustration as the fire or the fuel that I needed to keep going for my dream. And I actually ran into that same teacher a couple of years ago. She came into the pharmacy where I work.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yes. And at first she didn't recognize me, and so she heard me speak. And she just looked at me and she was like, "You're a pharmacist?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." And it was at that moment she actually apologized for the comments that she made years ago.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't accomplish anything, what would bring me great pleasure is if the world can see that deafness is not a disability. It's really not. It's a unique ability because we compensate for what we can't do in so many different ways. And those different ways become our strength. And it's something that we do so well that nobody else can do. And that's what makes us unique.
Yep, absolutely. I love that. Yeah. So, how was it growing up? When you became deaf, how was it for you growing up in school?
Growing up, being the only deaf kid in the family, it was a little bit hard. But now that I'm older and I look back on it, I have a lot more great, if you will, for my family members, because they'd be like, "This was new for us." And they really just wanted to protect me. They didn't want anybody to hurt me. They didn't want anybody to make fun of me.
Yeah.
And I guess it's partly why I'm kind of feisty a little bit. I'm like, no, I can do this. Who are you to tell me what I can't do? But it's been fun. I have tons of great memories. I had an amazing support system growing up, and then growing up with other deaf kids, because I went to a different school from my siblings. I was actually in the deaf and hard of hearing program. Even though I was mainstream, I was in a regular classroom, but I started my day with the deaf group.
Oh, wow.
And then I would go to a regular classroom that's where I learned sign language.
Yes.
Because my family doesn't sign, and they were afraid that if they started signing, I would lose my speaking ability. So
Okay.
at school, I signed, but at home, I talk.
Okay.
So I got best of both
Yeah.
worlds, if you will.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I call her my deaf mom. She is actually deaf. Her brothers and sisters are deaf.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Okay.
just took me under their wing, and I started traveling with them at the age of 12. Bowling is a very large sport for the deaf and hard of hearing community.
Okay.
So, yes. So I
Yeah.
will go to bowling tournaments all across the United States with them.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
To be exposed to different styles. Because,
Mm-hmm.
as you travel, the style of American Sign Language can vary.
Really?
Whether you go north, south, east, and west, just like it has an accent. Like you're from England, right?
Yeah.
You have an accent.
Yes.
Sign language also has an accent.
Wow.
Depending on where you live, so I was exposed to that, and it was really, really cool. It had also exposed me to deaf culture more.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of my norm, so I got a chance to see outside of my little niche. I got a chance to explore the world and see, and that's where I get my passion for. I want more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to just stay inside the box.
Yeah, I love that. Can you show me a little example of how sign language is different with different accents?
Yes.
Can you show
I
me
can show you some
something?
examples.
That'd be awesome.
All right. I live in Louisiana, and I used to live in New York.
Okay.
Everybody knows New York is fast-paced, right?
Right.
Fast-paced. In Louisiana, we're slow. We take our time. We drag out our words. Same thing with sign language. So if I wanted to say outside, here in Louisiana it would be outside. Going out.
Okay.
But outside. In New York. Outside.
Oh, okay.
This sign here means in Louisiana is coach.
Oh.
Yes.
That's very different.
Same word, different sign.
Wow.
Just depending on what part of the region you go to. It can vary. What's another one I can do? There's so many different variations of the word strawberry.
Oh, okay.
Yes. You have strawberry.
Yeah.
Because it has a little chin at the bottom of it. So strawberry.
Okay.
Strawberry.
Okay.
Yes.
Like that. Yeah. Okay.
So many different signs. Yes.
Wow.
People often ask me, do I know British Sign Language? No.
Yeah. That's what I was just about to ask you.
No. Funny story, actually. In one of the hospitals that I used to work at, they needed help. They were waiting for an interpreter to arrive.
Yep.
And they asked me, could I help? And I was fine with it.
Yeah.
Well, the person was signing in British Sign Language, and I was like, I don't know British Sign Language. And many people think it's the same. I'm like, no, it's definitely not the same.
Yeah. I mean, I think, well, I would have thought it would be best if sign language was every single language. So English, it would be the same if you were in the UK or the US, and then French or German. But it's different, and that's funny. Yeah.
I have a question for you, if it's okay if I can ask.
Yeah.
You are a race car driver.
Yes. Yep.
I didn't get a chance to ask you this last time, but how are you aware of any alerts or warnings when you're on the track?
I guess I use my vision more than other drivers, so I feel like I'm more spatially aware. Like I tend to look around more than most other drivers. I don't really use my hearing. Obviously we have so this is my helmet actually. So we wear these earbuds, and then we have the helmet on top, and then we're inside a loud race car and cars everywhere, and so it's really really loud. And so I use my vision more and look for things more. It would be quite cool to have maybe a light on the dashboard that flashes when like the when the caution flags come out or something like that. But yeah, I think I might try and do that next year.
Okay, would you say that you having hearing loss yourself, would you say that you're a better driver because you actually have to use your vision a whole lot more instead of your ears? Would you say that works better for you?
Yeah, I would say it forces me to also feel more of what the car is actually doing as well. So I'm forced to actually feel different things, and I feel like it gives me a bit of an edge over other drivers. Yeah. I mean, I've been pretty successful and won lots and lots of races. So, so
I've heard
yeah.
my dad usually teases people when he says, my daughter is a better driver because she pays attention a lot more than my son. Because she just listens to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And my kids, I have 3 little ones, and they sit in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband gets nervous all the time. And he's like, how are you talking to the kids while you're driving? I thought that's why we have real females. They're the best friends. And I have their mirrors so where I can see their face and they can see me, so it helps me to read their lips better. But it becomes a challenge at nighttime.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, let me pull over and turn on the light so I can see you. So it's just finding ways. Being deaf or hard of hearing doesn't mean that you have to sit on the sidelines and let life pass you by. No, you really have to make up in your mind and in your heart, no, I'm going to grab life by the horns and ride with it. Take whatever comes your way and adapt to it. But it's not going to be easy. But if you really want to make a difference, you can't be afraid and just letting life pass you by. And I think you really embody that. You're the first race car driver that I know myself, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So I commend you for helping out and doing what you do and sharing your experience, especially with the little kids. I love talking to the little kids. I do make it a habit. Every year, I'll go to a deaf school, and I'll talk to the kids and encourage them. Hey, you can be whatever you want to be. Don't let anybody tell you can't. Like, for instance, in the next year, I'm going to be going to Rochester School for the Deaf in Rochester, New York, talking to their elementary, middle school, and high school students, sharing with them what is it like to be a deaf person in the healthcare setting. How did I overcome whatever was thrown my way? And I think the biggest thing that really helped me is being aware of what your rights are. Being aware of what your rights are, because unfortunately, many people are not aware of the laws that exist to protect individuals like us from discrimination and things of that nature. The laws are not perfect, they're not, but they're there to protect you.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So growing up in school and when you were studying for your bachelor's degree, was there anything holding you back, or like how was that experience? Like, did you feel were you nervous
Did I
about
have
going to
anything
school?
negative growing up?
Yeah.
Yes. I had plenty of negative experiences. When I left elementary school, I had an opportunity to go to one of the top middle schools in the state of Louisiana. Of course, you had to take a test to go.
Right.
I didn't know any better. My teacher just told me, hey, we have to go take this test. And I just said, okay. Took the test, and then it didn't hit me. And it was actually the first time I was completely separated from the deaf and hard of hearing. I was by myself, completely by myself.
Wow.
For all of middle school and the first 2 years of high school, I felt very lonely during that time. I felt very lonely because I constantly had to adapt to the world around me. They were never adapting to me. They couldn't sign. So I had to read lips all the time. And then when I was in 10th grade, I told my dad, I'm tired. I want to enjoy high school. So I was able to switch back to the local high school where we had the deaf and hard of hearing program, and I felt right at home. Because I wasn't forced to read lips all the time. I could use my hands to communicate. I didn't have to work as hard. That was probably the most challenging thing for me, is that period of loneliness because nobody could relate to me. I can sort of relate to hearing people, but only to a certain extent. So when I'm back in my own niche, I feel right at home.
Yeah.
And it's still like that. I'll be honest, even in my career as a pharmacist, it gets lonely. Because nobody understands where they're coming from. There's nobody who can relate to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that can be challenging. Yeah.
But having said that, you still have gone out and achieved your dreams and made your dreams come true, you know.
I found my balance. We have an agency here called the Deaf Action Center.
Okay.
And it's for all the deaf and hard of hearing in the community. You have a central place you can go to just to fellowship, have fun. That's why I ground myself. When I just get tired of being hearing all the time.
Yeah.
Because, everybody in my house is hearing.
Right.
My kids are hearing, but my kids also sign.
Yes.
So that helps. I'm like, okay, I can see hands moving. I love it, especially when my youngest, she's 2. She's 2 years old. And her first thing in the morning is, she says, morning. You know how kids do the half signs? She says, morning, mommy. Milk, please. Every morning.
Aww.
Every morning. So I get a kick out of seeing her sign.
Yeah.
My middle one is very shy.
Okay.
So in public, she tends to sign more than talk.
Yeah.
So it helps.
Yeah. That's lovely. I love that. So when you go to businesses and you consult, what's one of the main standout topics that businesses?
With my business, whew,
Yeah. What's
not only do I help other healthcare businesses, but I also do counseling, medication counseling,
okay?
and medical equipment. Like for instance, if you're a newly diagnosed person with type 2 diabetes, and the doctor says, I want to put you on insulin, but we're going to give you the pen. Many people don't use the pen correctly. They don't. And the numbers still stay high. It's because they're not giving the full dose of their medication. So what I do is people in my community actually, they'll reach out to me and say, hey, I got this new medication or I have this new piece of equipment, but I don't know how to use it. Can you break it down for me in a way that I can understand? So that's where me being bilingual, able to communicate in sign language, I can break it down to them in a level that they can understand fully. So I take pleasure. It's my way of giving back to the community and trying to bridge the gap between what other healthcare providers can do or they're uncomfortable with doing it or don't know how to do it. There is a shortage of interpreters nationwide.
Yeah.
So I know in my area it's hard because they're restricted. You have to pick who needs the services. So if I can help fill in the gap there, hey, I'm happy. You know.
Yeah.
I recently did a conference over the summer with McKeston.
Okay.
They host a lot of independent pharmacies, and this conference was actually geared towards independent pharmacies. And I talked to them about the various type of resources that are available that they can use, especially with over-the-counter hearing aids being available now. How did you interact with the community that has been left in the dark all these years? And I know a lot of the pharmacists were nervous. They were like, well, how do we do this? We've never had to interact with them before. Actually, you have. You just chose not to.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're being forced to do that. So being able to give them pointers and give them guidance on where to go was the highlight.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's really powerful work that you do, and I really, really commend you for it. So I think to wrap this up, what is your message to the kids growing up today with a hearing loss or who are deaf, to motivate them to still chase their dreams, even with a hearing loss? Yeah.
What do I tell them to motivate them?
Yeah.
Oh. I tell them to dream big. Dream big. Don't limit yourself because somebody else said you can't do it. Only you as the individual are aware of what you're capable of doing. If you don't know how to get there, don't be afraid to ask for help because the right person is going to come along. Somebody helped me to get to where I am today. And guess what? It wasn't somebody who was deaf. It was somebody hearing.
Yeah.
You know, and I really believe that we meet people who can guide us to where we want to be. But in order to get there, we have to be willing to step out. Even if you're scared, do it afraid anyway. 99% of the stuff I do, I'm scared as hell. But I do it anyway. Because I don't want to look back and say, what if I would have done this? I don't want to look back in my life and have regret. And I really do have to give my parents credit because they set me up with a firm foundation of can't is not in your vocabulary. It's how can I take what I'm given and adapt so that it can be accessible for me.
Yes.
So I always tell the kids, dream big and go for it.
Yes. Yes. That's amazing. Ashley, it's been great to speak to you. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me today, and I really, really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I'll see you later.
Bye-bye. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss another podcast and keep up to date with more awesome hearing loss stories such as this one. And also make sure you check out Blue Moth Hearing and start your journey for better hearing.